Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, all Detroit Lions, friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So, gonna tell you something, folks. When you're getting set to play against a division rival, you look for every advantage you can get your hands on. Every single damn advantage you can get your hands on. And the Lions, as we know, are getting set to play against the Minnesota Vikings when they come back off their bye week this week. Now, besides enjoying the chance to rest and the chance to recuperate, the Lions are obviously planning and getting ready for a division rival who obviously is going to be coming to town because the Lions are going to play the Vikings in Detroit at Ford Field. And the one thing we know about division rival games is they're always tough outs. They're always really, really difficult for the most part. And they definitely should never be taken lightly. And neither should this one. However, having said that, the Lions just got some news that will give them a massive advantage, in my opinion, come next Sunday when they play said rival, the Minnesota Vikings. What exactly is the news? The news is that the Lions will likely, not guaranteed, but likely be facing quarterback JJ McCarthy instead of Carson Wentz. Now, don't for a second think that I or the Lions are afraid of playing Carson Wentz. Let's just call it for what it is. Carson Wentz is a shell of the once bright-eyed quarterback star that he used to be with the Eagles. And he has never been the same quarterback since his knee injury that pretty much marked the downturn, if you will, of his career, not only with the Eagles, but with the rest of the NFL. And let's just put it in the context and the situation that it is right now with where Carson Wentz has been with the Vikings. Carson Wentz has not played particularly well in relief of McCarthy since McCarthy has been out with the injury he's been dealing with. In fact, in the 5 games that McCarthy's been out and Wentz has been starting, Wentz has gone 2-3 in those games. And if you've watched any of those games, Wentz has been beat up to a bloody damn pulp. And the reason why is because the Vikings' offensive line is also very decimated with injury, and it's very bad. It's very porous. In the past 5 games, let me just put this out there for you. In the past 5 games, Wentz has completed, 65.1% of his passes, but he has 6 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions with an 85.8 passer rating. Not good at all. Which, mind you, that's having TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Jordan Addison all to throw to. So, why would I call playing against McCarthy an advantage versus against Wentz, who's not been playing particularly well? Because it would sound like, based off the numbers I just gave, I would want the Lions to play against Wentz if he's playing as bad as he is, right? It's a legit question. But honestly, to me, it doesn't matter who the Lions play against at quarterback for the Vikings. Honestly, I couldn't give one rat's ass if it's Wentz or if it's McCarthy. But since it's more likely going to be McCarthy because that's what Coach Kevin O'Connell stated, that's what I'm going with. But just in the case that it is Wentz, I will tell you why I'm not worried about who's playing at quarterback for the Vikings. Let's hear the case for playing against Wentz. Wentz, as I already stated, has been absolutely beaten to a bloody pulp behind an already terrible offensive line for the Vikings, which itself is also beaten to a bloody pulp. The injuries that Carson Wentz has sustained, they're slowing him down. Not only in terms of physically, but also in his ability to process. Why? Because you have to understand something here. Quarterbacks want to feel safe in a pocket. They want to feel safe from a 270 to 300 pound lineman or a 250 to 270 pound linebacker that's trying to absolutely murder them. Well, let's just call it for what it is. Carson Wentz has been anything but safe in the Vikings, pocket in that offense. Would it surprise you to know that in the last 5 games that Carson Wentz has played quarterback for the Vikings, he's been sacked a total of 19 times. In 5 games, 19 times. That's an average of about 4 sacks a game. For a quarterback, that's literally unbelievable. Because that is how bad this offensive line is. Now, yes, they're dealing with injuries, but 19 sacks in 5 games? Holy cow, that means your quarterback absolutely is just getting murdered. And it shows in the fact that Carson Wentz has got shoulder injuries, he's got other injuries, like the guy's being held together by duct tape and baling wire. And for a quarterback that's behind that kind of an offensive line, his confidence is clearly shaken. He's not feeling safe at all. So you have to think about it. Not only is he already slowing down because of the fact he's dealing with the injuries, but now he's slowing down because he has to think about, okay, what do I do if this offensive line can't give me at least 2 to 3 seconds before I get smacked? So it means rather than playing fast, rather than playing loose, he's thinking. And if he has to think, that means his ability to get the ball out fast and process is not there. So yeah, he's going to start hearing footsteps anytime he drops back to pass. So put that in the context of where our defense is right now, which, oh, by the way, we're a top 5 sack unit in terms of our defense. However, though, I will state this. The one reason that I think playing Wentz is less advantageous than playing against McCarthy is the fact that Wentz is the veteran. And he has played in high-pressure games, he's played in loud games, and he's been able to perform, I would say, moderately well in some of them. And you have to understand something. We already know that coming into Ford Field, it's going to be loud, it's going to be raucous, it's going to be volatile. So you would probably want that veteran experience behind center. So that would mean that's one more thing that the Lions would have to potentially deal with if they don't have to play McCarthy. Now, let's take a look at the case for playing against McCarthy. Simply put, playing against McCarthy, the problem for him is the exact opposite advantage for Wentz. He don't have any experience. Let's just call it for what it is. McCarthy has seen the start of his career to be an absolute disaster. He simply cannot either, one, get on the damn field, or when he does, he can't stay on it. Like, I don't know how else to quantify it, but he literally is almost a worse version in terms of health than Sam Bradford. Like Sam Bradford, when he came out of college, had a lot of promise, a lot of talent. Everybody thought he was going to be something, but the guy couldn't stay on the damn field. And when he was on the field, he was inconsistent at best. That's pretty much what, JJ McCarthy is right now. He doesn't have the type of consistency that you want to see out of a top quarterback draft pick, and he can't be on the field as often as you would like for a top quarterback draft pick. Because think about it. JJ McCarthy is now in his 2nd year. He only has played in 2 games and started them. So think about that. We're now, 7, 8 games into this season? And that was 17 games last year. So here we are, 7 plus 17. We are literally now 24 games into his NFL career, and he's played in 2. Not too particularly promising. And again, when you take a look at the 2 individual games that McCarthy has played in, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The game that he played against the Bears in week 1, for the most part, that game didn't look good, but like the last quarter, he absolutely came alive. Then the very next game that he played, which I can't remember who it was against. It could have been against the Falcons or some other team. I can't remember. But in that game, he was absolutely atrocious. But when you take a look at the two games combined, you want to know what he's done? He's completed 58.5% of his passes with 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 67.2 passer rating. That's even worse than Wentz. Now, you would expect that considering the fact that, McCarthy doesn't have the experience that, Wentz does, number one. But you would think that since McCarthy has been under Kevin O'Connell's system now for those last, year and a half or so, that he'd be able to play at least a little bit better. But then, it gets even worse. I already told you guys how many times Wentz had been sacked in the last 5 games. He'd been sacked 19 times. You want to know how many times JJ McCarthy was sacked in only the 2 games he's played this year? He was sacked 9 times. Think about that, folks. In the first 7 games that the Vikings have played, both of their quarterbacks have been sacked a combined total of 28 times. And for JJ McCarthy, 9 times over 2 games, that's almost 5 sacks a damn game. McCarthy's lack of experience, not only playing number 1 in general, but also behind this very bad offensive line and the ability to run O'Connell's offense and scheme, that to me tells me that something bad's going to happen if McCarthy gets put in. And what is it? He's going to get easily rattled. Because just think about it. You've got a young quarterback, doesn't have a lot of experience, he's coming off of an injury. What's the last thing you want to do? You want to put him up against a defense that's going to bring all-out pressure against him in a loud, raucous, volatile, unpleasant environment. Yeah, but that's exactly what we're getting ready to see here because Kevin O'Connell pretty much stated that if JJ McCarthy's healthy enough to play, he's going to start against us. Right, that's a great idea. Please, by all means, do that against Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Tyleek Williams, DJ Reader, and Al-Quadin Muhammad. I dare you. Your quarterback will be quite literally shitting both pant legs. Not to put it ever so bluntly or, daintily. He is going to be like, oh my God, what do I do now? Because consider that thought, that image I just presented, because, oh, that's right. What did we just do against Baker Mayfield? One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. We absolutely rattled the hell out of his cage at Ford Field on Monday night. So that tells me that it's going to be even easier against McCarthy because McCarthy doesn't have the experience that Mayfield has, number one, but he's also coming back from his second injury and he's playing behind a worse offensive line than what Mayfield had. Which then leads me to the last part of this episode. Because outside of those 2 quarterbacks, Wentz and McCarthy that I just presented, which have both clear limitations and drawbacks that play directly into the Lions' hands for the game, like I said, we also have to consider the fact of the Lions' defense itself. They're literally chomping at the bit to get back out on the field again. Because take a look at the masterclass performance they just had against the Bucs on Monday night. I'm telling you, the next thing that defense wants to do is literally follow it up with another one when they play against their rival on Sunday. And then you have to factor in that this Lions defense is going to likely get several key starters back. They're going to get back likely Reed, likely going to get back Kirby, definitely going to get back Branch, likely going to get back Maddox. So let's see there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cornerbacks or DBs that we didn't have the week prior. That means the Lions will be getting back almost their entire defensive secondary after having to go without it against the best passing offense that they've most likely had to face at this point, with a quarterback in Baker Mayfield that absolutely loves to spread the ball around. But you have to think about it. Now, JJ McCarthy is going to be playing against our defense, and that defense that literally sacked Baker Mayfield 4 times is going to have an even easier time of it because the offensive line for the Vikings is worse. You've now got a passing offense that even though it's got Adam Thielen, it's got Jordan Addison, it's got freaking TJ Hawkinson, it's got Justin Jefferson, they can't use it because their offensive line is so damn terrible. I mean, if I was Aiden Hutchinson and the rest of those defensive linemen, I'd be absolutely stirred up into an absolute feeding frenzy. And that's only half of the equation. Because, like I just stated, when you've got all those guys that are going up against that bad offensive line, who else benefits from that? Oh, that's right, that defensive secondary I just talked about, which we're going to be getting a lot of those guys back. That now means that, okay, if, McCarthy tries to avoid taking sacks, what's he going to do? He's going to try and make aggressive bad throws. Not a good idea throwing against Reed, Robertson, Kirby, or Brian Branch. All those guys are dogs and all those guys are ball hawks. Throw that ball into some ill-advised area in the secondary, chances are it's going to get intercepted. So not only do you have an offensive line that can't stop the pass rush worth a damn, now you've got a quarterback that's likely going to get easily rattled, not going to be able to hear himself think, and then he's going to get pressured all damn day, and then he's going to have to try and figure out how to fit, a football into a really tight space while he's got Aiden Hutchinson breathing down his damn neck. This is why I'm telling you, I would not at all be surprised if the Lions finished that game defensively with like 4 or 5 sacks and 2 or 3 interceptions. That's how bad the Vikings offensive line is. And if their offensive line can't protect their quarterback, that means one of two things. The quarterback's either going to be in the turf a lot or the quarterback's going to be throwing a lot of ill-advised passes which are going to turn into interceptions. And when you've got a quarterback that's playing bad either due to inexperience or the other one's playing bad because, well, he's just banged up all the hell and back. Then you factor in we're going to be at home with a Lions fan base that's going to be making it nearly impossible for them to hear themselves, let alone try and think, while trying to run any sort of offense. Dude, I'm telling you, this is going to be a feeding frenzy. This Lions defense is about to absolutely just tee the hell off against this Vikings offense. The only way this Vikings offense is realistically going to move this ball against us is probably if Justin Jefferson just has one of his, ridiculous, miraculous performances where he just makes catches in double or triple coverage like what we've seen him do in the past with quarterbacks like Nick Mullins. But even in that, Nick Mullins, what was the last time we played against him? He threw the ball to us like 2 or 3 different times? I'm just simply saying, not a very good prospect for the Vikings, especially considering that their quarterback that they're trying to build around is coming back from injury, and he's coming back against a defense that absolutely is just feeling itself all the way up and down, and it's like, oh, yes, we want to absolutely go after the Vikings and continue what we already started with the Bucs. I'm telling you, this is going to be a fun game to watch. But anyway, folks, I have said my piece on the matter, so I'm going to end the episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. If you like the content, I also hope to gain your subscription. Speaking of which, if you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not yet had a chance to do so, I want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Hope y'all are doing well and you got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.